some time to kind of, let the video load and for me to post it in the chat. I hope everybody enjoyed their off season. Seemed like everybody was pretty productive in making their team. Uh, I know personally that, you know, this past off season was a pretty critical one for me. And we kind of made the best of it the way we possibly can. So now this is posted in the chat. And we are about to get into it with the return of Sweatin' Predictions with your boy Keith Sweat. Is my mic on mute? No, my mic is not on mute. Thank God. Welcome to week one. Tuning in live all the time. I see we got one person already. So this season, oh, there goes the phone. This season, I'm expecting a little bit more videos since we got our formula down. Maybe I might do one face video just to show my face. But nonetheless, we have a doubleheader this week in oh my God, game of the week. But first, let's start off with the first game on the schedule. We got the Texans and the Colts. I know that these two have made some critical upgrades to their team in drafting, but I think Colts is on the road to redemption to prove that he can make the AFC playoffs. So I think he basically gets there by kicking this one off 27-17 against the Texans. But that game might be a little bit closer than what you think. And your first, oh my God, game of the week goes to the Lions and the Browns. These two are very competitive in their respective conferences. Always seems to make it in the playoffs and probably gets a little further in the division every time. I know Lions has some competition this year with Vikings and Packers, always on this trail. Man, this is a close one. If you ask me, it's definitely going to be a high scoring game. There is no such thing as a low scoring game with Kendall, if everybody knows what I'm talking about. So, ah, man, I'm going to have to give this to Kendall. I think this is just going to be a high scoring affair of, I think, 35 to 31 Kendall's way. Next we got Caleb and Agape. Man, I know Caleb he's really gonna go hard this season to win that tough NFC West. And kudos to you, son. This would probably be the perfect year to do it. And kicking that off right with Agape. Shoot, Agape and his team. I know he wants to win the NFC East and proves that he's not the little brother anymore of that division. Always coming in third since Box has joined. But Caleb, I got you winning this one. I would say 24 to 24 to 14. 24 to 14 will be the official score for me. Next we got Giants Redskins. Again, really haven't seen really videos of Redskins playing. I know maybe he's been playing this game, but personally I haven't seen physical evidence, so I'm gonna go with the rusty trusty sometimes on the edge of getting booted Giants. The high-flying offense of David Webb and OBJ. All you really need is OBJ. You really don't need a quarterback to have that back there. But this is going to be a high-scoring affair for Giants, of course. I think he's going to end up pulling this one out to be 30 to 20. 30 to 20. Next, we got Cody versus Mish. Mish is also on the road to redemption to reclaim that AFC East title after taking the break last year for Madden. And I think going against the newly crowned AFC Division South, Cody, man, this is going to be an interesting match. But I got Mish probably pulling this one out 28 to 20, 28 to 21. I just think that, the way that team is built offensively and defensively, it might be able to kind of get Cody on offense. And I know Cody is a great defensive player, but yeah, I think it might slow him down. Next, we got the greatest regular season player of all time against the Ravens. No doubt, Scooby. Unless you somehow let me down, which we ain't in the playoffs yet, according to you, is when you only let people down. But I think you're a great playoff person. It's just you just run into a bunch of star-studded people. But no, nonetheless, though, I think you pulled this one out 31-17 against the Ravens. He's still in the rebuild mode with the team. And I've seen it, and we've done our analysis, and I will understand why he would say that the Ravens team is very horrendous. But I got you coming out winning 31-17. Next, we got the Chiefs and the Jets. Uh, that track star team is going to be in some trouble this year of who you can keep and who you cannot keep. But since we're in week one and they're still on your team, I got you pulling this W out against the Jets. I would say 27-21 would be the final score prediction to this. Again, I would like to see the contracts for all your new people, Trishan. So I definitely keep you in my eyes for this season. Next, we got the Packers and the Saints. If Reggie actually plays, which I think again he's going to actually try, seeing that the NFC South came down to literally probably the last 2 weeks or the last week. Yep, the last week, the last two seasons, and it's been almost below 500. I got the Packers winning this one. Again, that fly high and play style of his can sometimes be a little bit on the brink of almost unstoppable, but it's definitely easy to slow down if you really put in the time to do it. And not knacking your offensive style, Aaron, but you know, everybody can be stopped. But I still think you got this one, Aaron. I would say 31-21. Next, we got the Panthers and the Rams. This is gonna be an interesting one because Panthers went undefeated last season. I mean, not undefeated, defeated last year, and Rams I think won one game that he actually played. I think, but this is gonna be a lack of non-scoring if you ask me. So if I were to actually make a score prediction, uh, hey Ravens, hey, I love being wrong, dog. I love seeing upsets. Please prove me wrong this time. But I would say that the Rams pull this one's out, 17-14. Next we got the Jags and the Broncos. Kyle against Broncos. I think Kyle is gonna rebound this season pretty nicely, considering that he had a nice offseason and maybe that he can focus a little more this time. But again, Kyle, your father-in-law is in my prayers. I heard about what happened. But if you're able to play, I think that this one is probably yours to take. That you end up beating Broncos 28-24. Next we got Bengals Bears. I think I got Bengals in this one, and not even by a long shot, but just by a significant amount, considering that the people that he did beat last year, even though he was below 500, were I think all playoff teams. I know he beat Box, and I think he might have beat Scooby too. But I think I have Bengals in this one. I know that short wide receiver, who I think who led the league in receiving yardage last year. I think that might end up being a problem for the Bears. Even though the Bears have a high flying receiver of his, I just think that that Bears defense is not going to be enough to handle that Bengals offense led by I can't even get his name right. I'm just calling him the 5'9" receiver. 5'9" receiver. But I don't really have a score prediction for this one, honestly. I just think it just end up might being 24-10, maybe 24-10. Next we got your blowout game of the week with Deontay versus Jerome. Every time I see this game, I just get to snickering because the game is almost never close ever, and that's not the knock on Jerome. It's just exactly how the game rolls every time. It's just in Deontay's favor. So I can see this one easily being somewhere like a high scoring game for Deontay and a low scoring game for Rome. So we can probably look at this as a 34 to 7 win, 34 to 10 win. Next we have your second of the doubleheader. Oh my God! Game of the week. You got myself versus gang, aka Vikings. This is gonna be a real interesting one. I know Gang is a very defensive person who's very aggressive on defense and can tries to keep pace on offense. And the way my style of playing is I kind of have no style of playing. It's kind of like whatever you're doing, I'll adjust. But we like to keep balance on offense and try to do our best to stop, on defense. But I don't really have a score prediction for this one. I just know it's going to be a great game, personally, between me and him, because we always have great games. Uh, so moving to the next one, Patriots and the Dolphins. I know that the AFC East came down to these two specific teams last year, and I know that the Patriots kind of dimmed away the last 2 weeks, so he didn't even have a chance to even really fight for the division or a playoff spot. But nonetheless, I think that the Dolphins are not going to move easily through the Patriots. I think this is going to be a tough one for both, considering that the Patriots are very aggressive and the Dolphins is just very adjusting to what he sees. So I think this one will end up being, I would say 16 to 27. 16 to 27 the Dolphins way. Next we got Ben versus Blake. This is gonna be an interesting matchup because, you know, I would even say it's a battle of, who has the better run game, but the battle of whose defenses can get the most stops. And I know that the Seahawks went through a very, interesting rebuild during the offseason with that defense. But I think that Ben made the adjustments to kind of keep that defense dominant, moving some people around to different positions. But I can see him taking this one home for his first win of the season. To end up being, I would say, 24 to 17 also. And the last game on the schedule is an interesting one. I know it's a rematch from last year, but just not the playoffs. And you have Box versus Jeff. And, the high flying offense of Jeff sometimes get him in trouble with people who play like Box, who, look, who uses the middle linebacker to kind of take away some routes. Which can sometimes be everybody's biggest struggles, but I know for Jeff that sometimes it does get him a little bit off balance on offense and kind of force some things. So I can see Box winning this one. I would say about 20 to 14, 20 to 7 Box's way. And there you have it for week 1 predictions, for sweating predictions. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in for the season 5 premiere of the league. And tune in next week for week 2 where we kind of just pick up where we left off. Hopefully some of these predictions are wrong. Like I said, I love seeing upsets in my predictions. Like Jerome from last year. One of the greatest upsets I've ever seen a day in my life. But I'll catch y'all later. Tune in next week. Y'all stay blessed and highly favored. Peace.